All right, Archero 2, we're going to be going over the best skills to pick with the Oracle staff or the Beam staff, whichever one you desire. If you haven't known by now, I've been playing this at Mythic level with a whole bunch of other Oracle gear, and I've actually been able to get further in chapters than some players that are twice my strength. So we're going to go through the best ones on it here. I didn't include every single skill. You can see all these ones behind me here, I guess. So depending on what type of room build you're using, you can decide if you want to use those. So we're going to do things a little different on this here. I know everybody likes to start at the bottom and tease you for that best skill all the way at the top. We're going to work in reverse on this. And if you want to, go towards the end of the video, take a screenshot of this and use it when you're going into battle. But if there was only one skill that you could use with this Oracle Spear or Beam Staff, that's going to be the Tracking Eye. That's what makes this thing absolutely broken. This is how I'm pushing all the chapters with it. And like I said, it's absolutely nuts of what you can do with this. So in my opinion, this one deserves a tier all on its own, because if I don't have this, because I'm so underleveled for what I'm going in against, I won't even make it halfway through the chapter. So for the S tier, we're just going to show them all at once here. We'll go through each one and hold off on this here in case you're going, why is he putting that in there? It all makes sense. But both diagonal arrows and multi-shot, solid ones to have. More beams means more hits, and this is what we want to go after. If I had to choose between the two of diagonal and multi-shot, I would actually probably go for diagonal in the fact that it's going to hit off on that first hit. But getting either of these will absolutely break this thing even more. And as you can see, next one, extra life, no brainer on that. Clearly, make sure you're putting your revival rune on, because that's going to help also, but that's another good one. If you see, still make sure you go for it. So the next one you see there is going to be freeze, and you might be asking yourself, an elemental skill all the way up here at the rest of this stuff. This thing is insane what you can do when you have it the Tracking Eye. When this thing starts pumping off, having that freeze in there just to hold them off for a second or two is sometimes enough that they don't even get any shots off. And if you see that 7th skill in, which is going to be freeze, will greatly enhance. This is another one that's going to just delay that even more. Now both the invincibility vial and the frenzy, I'd probably go more for the invincibility vial first, but both of these will help off. Frenzy, clearly going to make this thing pop off, and the invincibility really is key from when you're sitting in one of those ones where you're getting crowded by mobs, or even need it when you're running away from a boss. And even the last one there of getting a shield every single wave, in a situation like I am, where I am way underleveled, these things might come creeping in at me. There might be a shot that fires off. I'm getting one-shotted right now. I take one hit, I'm pretty much dead. So that's something, it's a good way to go if you are in a situation like mine. And of course, the attack speed and movement speed, the big one that brings those things up, the attack up and the HP up, are all going to be the big ones to help you in it there too. Any three of those, depending on which one it is, they're just going to be a nice little extra boost, but I try to go for some of these other things like the arrows or even that freeze before those. Now for the A tier, you can see I have both front arrow and the backwards arrow on there. These things are good if you are using the weapon etch rune there. It seems to me like the front arrow is similar to Archero 1, where it does reduce the attack speed a little bit. Haven't actually tested the numbers to see or the damage on it, but that's just the way it feels when I go and grab it. And that's the same thing when you end up grabbing two of them. Just the feel from what I've been playing. Like I said, I haven't slowed it down and hard crunched it. And then you can see the other elemental skills, and they're increasing them greatly. These things all work pretty good when you get a Tracking Eye and have a whole bunch of it out. Like I said, the freeze is the main priority on it, the fact that it will slow those enemies down or at least stop in their place. But these things are a nice one to go for too. I am wearing the elemental runes right now, so lightning does cause paralysis, and obviously the burn is something that just feels great when you're using it. The stand strong is obviously a good one too, but I put it on a tier lower because you find yourself getting a little bit too comfortable. You don't want to move because you want those fast shots off. And like I said, one shots will kill you where I'm at. And this just seems to be one of those things where I sit there and the next thing I know, something hits me once where I should be moving around. The attack up, I think that one's 3 arrows. I considered moving this up to the S tier, but when I looked at those other things like the diag, the multi-shot, even having that freeze, those were all things I would pick before picking that. And even that angel wings bow thing and the damage to bosses, you'll find that a majority of your problems when you are this late that you're gonna find you're struggling with the bosses. So both of these ones I like to get in the fact that they just seem to do a little bit extra damage and speed up the process. Now, as far as the one that grabbing hearts will have the chance of increasing your attack, I also believe the one for grabbing hearts will have a chance to increase your health should be in here too. I just wasn't seeing it inside those actual skill picks, so just note that both of those are there. These things are good to just give some extra little health or attack to you. And the same thing with the long distance attack. The further you're away, the more damage you do. That is solely meant for the bosses too. The healing when killing mobs is another good one. I am using Dracola right now, so I get some heal out of that, and I do use the healing sprite, but this is one that I do see it. If I don't see the other ones, I'll tend to pick it. Now, the one gain a temporary shield when taking damage. This can sometimes save you. I feel like it is kind of worthy to be up here, but the fact that we want to be protected before we take damage, I'm not really too much of a fan, but like I said, it saved me some of these times. And the one for attack up, HP up, and attack speed up, this one is a nice one to get. Like I said previously, if I'm not seeing one of those ones up higher on the tier above, then yes, this is something I will get. Now the B tier, I don't think we need to talk about these things too much, but if you see the option to get attack speed, health, or attack, definitely go for them. I did throw the one in there where you're going to increase your size and I believe your attack damage, but it is going to give you a nerf to movement speed on it and maybe attack speed too. Don't remember exactly. That's kind of a questionable one. If you had nothing else to pick, I'd probably say go for it, but I really try to stay away from anything that's going to reduce some of my stats. Dodge one there, that might be actually a tier up on it. I threw it here for some reason. It is a good skill to get, but mainly I'm just trying to pump out as much attack as I can, so I'm not really focused as much on that dodge at all. As far as the C tier, these are things you can grab, but I'd still say stay away from it if you can. The ricochet can be a nice one if you're first starting off and you don't see the tracking eye. This could maybe help you get in a little bit, but once you do get that tracking eye, this pretty much negates the skill. And that goes to the same thing for the bouncy wall. I mean, I guess bouncy wall can be good going up against the bosses in the fact that you will get the bounce and hitting back, but once you have more than one enemy out there, this tracking eye is pretty much jumping from enemy to enemy anyways, so there's really no need for that bounce. And detached weapon is a good one too, but it's just one of those things of we don't want those reduced damages on things. If you don't have the attack speed, you can't stutter stop with this, and this is something I'd probably only say grab in a worst case situation if you are going up against a boss that's doing a lot of jumping and chasing you around. But skills we don't want to grab at all, the walking on water, I threw it in there. I don't think it's needed. I mean, you could still grab it if you want, but it just kind of fit well with the other ones of, say, piercing through walls or piercing through enemies. This weapon already pierces through enemies, so it's not needed. And even with the walls, if you have more than one enemy around there, it's going to find its way to get around that wall to make that hit. We definitely don't want any charge abilities on this. This is only going to slow this thing down from keeping it from popping off. We want this thing to go burr, just go off like a machine gun on it, and those are things that are going to prevent that from happening. And lastly, we don't want to grab the one to increase our attack speed and then reduce our attack damage. It's a no-brainer on this. We're trying to hit as hard as we can, as fast as we can, and this is just one of those things where you're just trading one for the other. So these are what I'm calling the best skills. Originally, I got to the final boss on chapter 54 with maybe about 550,000. Now we're at about 630, and we're still struggling on this final one. It's that blue ice guy that's gonna lunge at you, shoot out the spikes, and like I said, one shot, I'm dead, and that's what's giving me troubles. But if you're an Oracle staff user or a Beam staff user, give this a shot, see how it works for you. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. But if you want to know everything that just came in the new update, you're gonna want to take a look at this video right here. Thanks for watching, and remember, I pick my butt.